Alright guys, welcome to the second video of many in the series. Today we're going to be going over VWAP. excuse me. VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. The main way you read VWAP, it is basically if a stock is above it. So this green line right here is our VWAP. If you're above it, you're considered bullish in the stock, and if you're below, you're considered bearish. This is an indicator that many people use, and I would say it's a very strong indicator. Like if something were to bounce off of it or break through it, something big is going to happen. Most of the time, I would say from personal experience that usually when you find a break above VWAP, so the stock's trying to break above it, that tends to work in our favor probably 75% of the time at least. I tend to find that bounces are less, they work less of the time, but they still work. So you just have to use other indicators like volume, MACD, and things like that, which we'll also be going over in a later video. But we're going to focus on just how to play just strictly using VWAP and volume today. So first one is something that you guys played today, IRNT. And at the market open right here, 9:30, we see this candle has a good amount of volume, 160,000 volume. And it starts to move up from the pre-market. Okay, this next candle right here, still good amount of volume, 160,000 volume, and it pierces through, and it comes back down a little. And usually we always want to try to take the play of a breakthrough VWAP, because the worst case scenario is you stop out for 3%, and best case scenario, you get a huge move to the upside. So as you can see here, I would have taken my entry right around here, 535 with the break through the VWAP. And we could have played it all the way up about 10%, let's say. 10%, that's a lot of gains. You could have sold anywhere here for profits. You wouldn't have been in the losses at all during that play, unless you held all day, maybe. I don't even know. Then this next play, this is a bounce play. We see the stock starting to come back. This is a big volume red candle. Price goes from 593 to 560. That's a pretty decent drop. But as we see when we get here, lower, closer to the VWAP, the volume starts to decrease, and then we get a green volume bar and a green candle. And this green candle indicates that it is bouncing, because you can see it doesn't close below the VWAP. And my personal entry would have been waiting for this confirmation and then entering on this candle right here. Once this candle broke over the high or the body, I'd say the body of this candle, that's when I would have entered. So it would have been this candle around, we'll say 565 right here. You wouldn't have been down on this play at all, maybe 1%. But you could have played it up about 6%, 5.5%. And you could have held all the way up till, again, 10% or so if you sold around this area. And you can play VWAP the same way with if you want to short a stock. So this next play, like, you could have entered once this candle closed below the VWAP. You could have entered around 570. And you could have sold around 550, because, $0.50 are usually good support or resistance. So, you could have sold around there for some good profits. And here we get a little false breakout, I would say. So you can see the volume is a little smaller, but it is starting to staircase up. So you could have tried to play here. Let's say you try to play right here, breaking above. You could have sold for 1% or 2%, or stopped out for break even if you didn't trust it. But if you held it, you would have stopped out there. So there's our first loss is around there. But remember, you're already up 20% from playing these VWAP plays right here. So now you're what, up 17% on the day. And then my other entry for this probably would have been right around here. So we see it break above, but maybe you don't trust it as much. It's on lighter volume and it had a false breakout right here. So we're waiting for some other confirmation. Then you see this support line starting to form. I would have entered right here because this candle broke above this high of this body. It's a green candle. We have a lot of volume. Let's say you enter around 585. You got a higher entry than you thought. You wouldn't have stopped out. You maybe down 1%. You could have sold for 3%, but you probably wanted to hold for that bigger move. And if we look over here, let's say you sold around here because you're never going to get a tippy top all the time. So let's say 13% play right there. Another huge play. So, I mean, as you can tell, the VWAP, very strong indicator. And yeah, you need to definitely learn how to use that. This next stock, let's look at a replay of it. So VWAP's up here, 6:30 in pre-market. So market opens. Let's see what happens here. Okay, goes down, shoots up, big candle. Okay, right here. Next candle, 9:31. We see it rejects off of this VWAP. It shoots up, touches it, drops back down. So that's, you do want to wait until you get some actual real confirmation that it is breaking above, because if you did enter here, you definitely would have stopped out. That's from $6.30 down to $5.70. Let's keep going here. Okay, still dropping. Okay, we see some support starting to form right here. Could have drawn some support line, and we see it starting to come back up to the VWAP. So let's see. Also, huge green volume bar right here. Okay, so you see it rejected again. If you saw that quick flash, let's see if I can do this one more time here. So shoots up again to here, and then rejects again. So maybe you would have wanted to wait for a little more confirmation. Let's see, that candle closed above. You could have entered, let's see, you would have stopped out if you entered anywhere above here. Let's say you took a chance. You gambled a little bit, but you're still trusting your gut with the VWAP plays. You entered when it first broke, when it moved up. Let's say right here. See what would have happened here. Or entered around 6:30. Still very choppy stock. You probably would have wanted to have a bigger stop loss on this because you're aiming for a bigger price target anyway. You can afford to have a bigger stop loss, so maybe like 5% stop. So you enter around here. If you had a 3% stop, you probably would have stopped out, but 4 or 5% stop, you would have been all right. Let's see. Next, let's rewind here. We're going too fast. Okay, so you're in right around 6:30, 6:30, yeah. Starting to get up, very choppy. Hits up here, drops back down to your entry. Does it again, very choppy, 6:60, 6:30. I probably would have been looking to take profits around here because you see huge volume on this candle. You're looking at volume exhaustion. Also, if you have other indicators like Bollinger Bands, we'll go over this later, but this looks like it's probably peaking out pretty soon if this were to be closed in. So I probably would have been looking to take profits around there. And that's about 5.5% gains, so that's decent gains. So you sold around there. There's a huge drop. That's why you want to take profits. You definitely would have stopped out right there if you didn't take your profits. But now we're looking for another play here. So moves up a little. We get a green candle. We get another green candle, and it pierces through. And we start to see our MACD curl, which again, we'll go over everything more in a later video, but VWAP right now. Let's say we enter around 6. Let's say you get a high entry, 6:35. Okay, 6:35. What happens? Shoots up huge to 666, and then drops back down. So again, this is why you want to have a bigger stop loss on these stocks, because if you were in at 635, you're up 5%, then it dropped back down to negative 3.5. So you're going to want at least a 4 or 5% stop. Let's see what happens. Drops down even more, shoots back up. So, you know, this is a very choppy stock. But you could have sold somewhere around this big pump up, because huge volume, huge pump up like that, you're probably looking to take profits unless you think it's going to halt. And the way how choppy it is, you probably don't expect to halt, because with stock this choppy, there's just too much going on. But you could have made about 8% there, 7-8%. Probably would have wanted to look to take profits around this level. Starts to come back down. Does it bounce off of the VWAP? Looks like it kind of bounced a little right there. And then it's starting to come back down. Pierces through, so you definitely want it to be out, because once you see it pierce, good chance that it's going to come back down. Then we see our support line that we saw right here kind of bounce off again right here. So we would have been looking for another entry pretty soon. You could have entered off that support line, but we're just talking about VWAP right now. Let's see what happens. Kind of breaks the trend line a little, comes back up. Now we're looking at VWAP. Pierces through again this high. This candle broke through the high of that body, and at the same time it broke through VWAP. So we would have been looking for an entry around 640 right here, right about there. Let's see what would happen. Drops back down again. You want your 4 or 5% stop. So that would have been right around 610, and you're in at 640. So it's still hovering around VWAP, but boom, there we go. Shoots up again. That's kind of like a mini bull flag in a little way, a little pennant. Shoots up 660. Could have taken some profits there. What happens? Hits 680 about. 681. So I mean, that's another 5-6% gain, as long as you're willing to hold a choppier stock. But I mean, it's giving you good moves. Comes back down, bounces off support a little bit. What happens? What happens? Looks like it's curling. Then huge rejection. Definitely would have wanted to have been out by there. It broke through VWAP. Then you would have been looking to probably short the stock. But let's see what happens. Yep, still going down. So yes, there you go. There you go. That's the video, guys. Just remember the key facts. Above VWAP, you're going to be looking to go long. Breaks below right here, you're definitely looking to short the stock. And just, you know, replay the video if you want to kind of remember how I use the volume and how the choppiness was, things like that, to get your entries and exits. We'll go over more details in a later video, like putting everything together, but this was, hopefully you guys learned something about VWAP from this video. So message me on Discord if you have questions. Join the Rags to Riches Discord if you haven't already. And yeah, see you guys.